Welcome to Operation American Dream. My name is Daniel Lehman. My focus is veteran home ownership, and Eve Nasby is with us. Her focus is veteran employment. We also cover entrepreneurship and financial literacy. Got some great guests coming to you.
We do. We have some amazing guests.
We'll be right back with you with Operation American Dream. All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. In our entrepreneurship segment, we've got Mike Hess, founder and chief brewing officer of Mike Hess Brewing. How are you, man?
I'm great, man.
So you were a University of Colorado student in the ROTC.
Yep.
And then went into the Navy.
Right out of college.
How was that, man? I asked you before the segment, why Navy, man? It sounded kind of condescending. I was really interested in knowing, but...
Yeah, I didn't take much offense to it. Originally when I was in high school, I wanted to be a naval aviator, and I thought that was going to be a great path to go down. When I got in, things changed in college, and my opportunity to go aviation changed from what it had been when I was leaving high school and getting to college.
So Top Gun came out and everybody wanted to do it.
Top Gun ruined my aviation
your
career.
Dreams, yeah.
Right? Everybody was like, "Oh, that is cool. Good idea, Mike. We're going to do it." But we're all in front
Everybody had
of you.
aviators on all of a sudden, playing
yeah.
volleyball shirtless. It was a big mess. So you went to the surface warfare side.
Yeah, and I'm glad I did. I ended up going to Amphib Navy, and I loved being on the big deck amphibs.
So you're 4.5 years active duty, right? And then you spent some time in the reserve after?
Yep, I did reserves through 2000, so about 5 years in the reserves. I was in the Mobile Inshore Undersea Warfare Unit, which was totally not surface warfare at all. It was a totally different life.
So so you had a reserve element, right? So it was kind of a little bit of a different transition than popping out of active duty and jumping right into something. But brewing came later, right? Like you worked a couple different industries, some good, some bad.
True.
Walk me through the transition.
And my reserve time, it was just, I did the typical weekend a month, 2 weeks a year thing. And in the MEU, the weekend a month was from Friday until Sunday, and we camped overnight. So it wasn't just like your normal day job, weekend a month thing. The transition, when I first got out, I went and worked out in retail at a tire dealer.
Hated it?
I did not like that. I learned a lot about how to fix cars from working with the guys.
Did you have any idea what you wanted to do when you were getting out? I feel like that's not it's not common for somebody to know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, I would say not really. I mean, I had a degree in econ. At one time, I'd hoped that I could work in that field in financial services in some way. But I was in Philly, got out of the Navy there, and I had an opportunity. I went to a job fair, and the guy said, "Oh, we'll bring you on." I think they were probably like we do, a little bit seeking military folks to hire. And
well, then it came all full circle. You were in financial services for a while, right?
Yep.
You were in, like an enrolled agent or...
I was a registered rep and a registered principal.
Got it.
So I got, when I moved out to San Diego, I got hired on at a firm. I got my Series 7 63, and then I went on and I became an accredited investment fiduciary, and my practice focused on just 401k plans. So I was a pension plan person for San Diego market.
Very cool. So how did brewing come into the picture? Like, I guess when you were you were kind of doing some homebrew stuff, and
Yep. When I was stationed on the Kennedy in Philly, it was dry docked, and so I knew I wasn't going anywhere. And then I also got CPay because I was on the ship, so I had extra money and extra time. And that was kind of the
that's
perfect
sometimes
storm,
dangerous.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That can be really bad or really good. So apparently
it could be a mess.
It worked out well for you.
That's right.
Cool.
So I used that for good. I got a homebrew kit for my birthday back in 1995.
Cool.
And started brewing in my kitchen at my little apartment. And that hobby, for me, like if I get into a hobby, I go full force into it. Like right now I'm in fly fishing, so I'm like crazy into fly fishing.
All about yeah.
But then it was brewing, and I brewed a lot. And then when I came out here to San Diego, and a few years later met my now wife, who's our operations director, that hobby just, I don't know, it took over the house. It was crazy.
How was it moving? I mean, because there was a little bit of a transition out of financial services and into like full-on brewery, and that's I mean, financial services, especially when you're dealing with big 401k plans, can be pretty lucrative, right?
It is.
So there was a situation where, I mean, what was the thought? Where was your mind when you were? Was it scary? Was it?
Oh yeah, it's still scary.
Yeah.
You know, we've grown to be the 11th largest craft brewer in San Diego, and
That's
that really
awesome.
means,
Well,
you know.
in context, I mean, some people have a feel for that, but how many craft brewers are there?
We were number 33 when we opened, so we were the 33rd brewery of 33. There are now 129 operating breweries in San Diego.
You guys are 11th
largest,
wow.
yeah. We opened up as the smallest purposely, and that was kind of how we managed that transition to get from financial services into the brewery life. I never had the idea of opening up a brewery even, you know, until almost right when we did it. Because I'd always heard the old mantra, like, if you want to have a small fortune in brewing, start with a big one, which I think can be applied to a lot of industries, right?
That's true, yeah. Definitely helps.
And so I was always like, you know, I like to keep it as a hobby. But then I read an article about opening up a small operation with limited capital. So I think that for probably 40 or 50 grand total, we were able to open up the brewery.
I mean, some of the charm of craft brewing is the great beer, but it's also the fact that you're not Budweiser, right? It's the fact that you are, you know, smaller and more specific around what you're trying to do.
It's that, and I think that the guys and gals that are getting in the industry now are not doing it to be a Budweiser by any means. They're doing it because they're passionate about craft beer. They love beer, and the community is a really cool community. When we started the brewery, we thought, well, let's see what it's like to work in this with the other brewers in town. And at the time, you know, it was our friends were like the folks at Carl Strauss and at AleSmith and Stone and Coronado, and you got to meet the owners of those breweries and work with the brewers to help us, which was really a great part of this brewing community, is that it's so friendly. And coming from financial services, where
Cutthroat?
if you're working, if you're in financial services, cutthroat, the industries that I work with, like in biotech, if I'm doing a 401k for this biotech, they don't want to share any secrets with those other biotechs.
Yeah.
So brewing was just a totally different new world for that.
Yeah, very cool, man. So what would you say, like, if a veteran if a military guy's getting out, if they're transitioning out and they're really interested in the brewing industry? You mentioned when we were talking before the show that there's some great programs around too that kind of gives you a leg up over someone who would just kind of like to get the homebrew kit for their birthday and kind of jump into it. I mean, what would you say?
Right. Well, that's I mean, that's totally true. I think that if you want to get in the brewing industry and you want to be a brewer, you should obviously know something about brewing and or go to school. And you should definitely, if you can, take one of the courses or the entire scope of coursework that they offer at UCSD or San Diego State. Those degree programs, when we interview folks and we have them out working on the floor, you can tell who has had that background, that formal education. Informal education, which is all I had really, you know, is kind of like, you know, my garage brewing and that type of thing, has a use for sure, but also knowing some of the book knowledge is really important, especially if you want to move up in the pipeline.
Well, and you were mentioning it gets you in the network. People know people. You were saying how well you guys all work together. So to get into that community is really important. It's like any other business, right? It's like a network.
It is.
So before we jet out of here, man, you got your Kolsch, you got an IPA here. Your Kolsch just took home
gold at World Beer Cup 2016. Coming on the heels of gold at World Beer Cup in 2014 for our double IPA. So we've had a really great run these last 3 years of just we're doing really great at
you're not just
making great beer.
Brewer in a good market for craft brew. You guys make some great beer, and you got the Miramar location, North Park, and
Ocean Beach.
You got to hook us up with a North County version.
Maybe. There's a lot of breweries up there. It's pretty crowded.
Yeah, I guess that's true, man. But hey, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. If you want to take a look at what Mike's doing or check out the beers or anything, MikeHessBrewing.com, MikeHessBrewing.com. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Nice talking with you.
We'll be right back with more Operation American Dream. right, in the real estate recon segment this week, I've got a good friend of mine, Christopher Paul with Big Block Realty, to talk to us a little bit about the market, a little bit about some of the opportunities that exist for our military and veterans in San Diego. How are you, man?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
So first off, to reset kind of who you are, man. You were in the Marine Corps for 5 years, 4 years?
8 years.
Oh, 8 years.
8 years.
So, and then, sorry, man, I don't know why I got that wrong. So 8 years, got out, what, a sergeant?
Got out as a sergeant.
And then, and tell me about your transition, man.
Well, it was into the reserve and then out, and so some of that was a combination of active and reserve, and I was doing college during that time as well too, and got out of the reserve right as I was finishing my degree, and went into education for a while, and then later into real estate.
So I think education and real estate go together a lot more than people would think on the surface.
They do. You know, in this business, it's helped. I like to say that I try to have the heart of a teacher, so that I keep my clients educated, and I want them to not go into a big decision like this in the dark.
So speaking of education, man, educate us on some of the opportunities that exist. You're in Escondido mainly,
right?
That's kind of the main area that you're in, but you've also got an opportunity up in Riverside County.
Right. You know, my main territory is in North County, from the coast through Riverside, or through Escondido and Ramona. But I do sell quite a bit up in Riverside County as well too, and just have a brand new listing that hit the market this morning. As a matter of fact, 33405 Calico Court in Wildomar. And so Wildomar is a bit up there, but when you look at it is commutable for somebody who would be
certainly Pendleton.
Absolutely, Pendleton buyers are up there all the time.
I know for sure, though, too, that I mean, there's a lot of people, even from like the naval bases, that go all the way up to Riverside County. Temecula is almost like a military town, right? Yeah,
absolutely. So I've sold a lot up there, and you know, part of it is affordability and what you get bang for the buck. You know, if it's the difference between a condo in San Diego County and a big newer house with a yard in Riverside County, sometimes that's a great choice. And you know,
well, tell me about Calico, man. So how big is it? Where is it situated? That kind of thing.
Calico's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,900 square feet in a HOA community with a small HOA of $69 a month. But the neat thing about it, it's in a semi-rural area, so you almost feel like you're in the country a little bit. You go there, you go into it, and then it's a development that's in there. It's got 3 swimming pools, and it's got a fishing lake, and it's just kind of a neat place. And it's a great price, range price from $295 to $325,000.
So in Greater San Diego, I mean, what are you paying for that kind of?
Well, you're looking at a condo realistically.
Sure.
Probably you're looking at a condo or something.
So that's why you see people going up into the Riverside area. So what you mentioned about that affordability.
Actually own the land there and can have a dog and. Yeah.
So my kind of side of this is the VA loan side, right? So the VA loan, I mean, $300,000, that's $1,800 a month.
Right.
I mean, rent in that area can't be.
It's about
much
that.
less than that.
It's about that. So, you know, if you can buy something and have a mortgage payment that is going to be equivalent to what your rent is, then you're really in the gold standard.
Well,
$1,700-$1,800
a month. Take a sergeant with dependents on Pendleton, right? You've got $2,000, $2,200, $2,500 in basic allowance for housing. You're getting in under your basic allowance for housing.
You're getting paid to buy a house.
So you're getting paid to buy a house. You're putting nothing down on the VA loan. So you're going in with nothing. You could probably negotiate with the sellers potentially and have the sellers pay your closing costs. So you're literally, and so people look at the risk of buying, but they don't look at the risk of not buying. So they don't look at the fact that they're going to, you know, if they go into base housing, they're losing all that BAH, they're losing $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 over the next 3 years when you can get in at really no risk, personal financially. I mean, it's a great opportunity. So what else you got, man? So what are people asking? I know it's getting to the end of the year. What questions are you getting in your market in Escondido from buyers or sellers, or what do you have going on?
You know, it's a great question. One of the things that I get over and over, and especially this time of year, is, you know, it's getting to be into the winter months here, the fourth quarter. Should I buy a house at this time, or should I sell my house? Should I wait till spring? The other variation of that this year is there's an election going on. Should I buy or sell during an election? Sure. And my take on that is, in San Diego County, we really are a 4-season market. It's not like some of my friends in Minnesota who, you know, you can't even find the houses in the wintertime. They're buried in the snow, whatever. we really are active all 4 seasons. We do slow down a bit in terms of volume during these months here, but really it's just a matter of there not being as much inventory. So the homes that are going on the market are selling.
Well, the other thing to consider, right, is that at this point in time, we're at a relatively low interest rate environment. So you may wait and you may, but you may not get the amount of value that you would for buying sooner than later.
I think so too, and I think as a buyer, it's really wise this is an opportunity to be a contrarian, to where you can just, if people are sitting on the fence and thinking they can wait till spring, if you buy now and take advantage of low interest rates, take advantage of people that are vacillating because of a presidential election, and I think there's a good chance you get opportunities you wouldn't otherwise get.
Well, awesome advice as always. If you want any information on Calico Court, you can take a look at OperationAmericanDream.tv. We'll be right back with Dave Elhoff in a second. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around.
As a real estate professional, there are only so many hours of the day, which means efficiency is more than a buzzword. It's a daily necessity. 2 tools from First American Title can help you keep on top of your transactions, either at your desktop or on the go. My First Am puts comprehensive property data at your fingertips, where you can review recorded documents, past transactions, or locate comparable sales quickly and easily. Cost First can also ensure you have 24/7 access to closing costs data, allowing you to generate net sheets, calculate fees, update documents, or email, print, or save your reports, along with TRID calculation and consummation date timeframes. Each sale includes a number of stages to manage, each with the possibility to delay a closing or derail it altogether. Let Cost First and My First Am keep your transactions on track. Contact your local First American representative to get started today.
All right, we're getting your finances squared away in this segment, and we've got with us to help us Dave Elhoff with Elhoff Wealth Strategies. Backseat F4, F14 in the Navy, 6 years active, retired after 23 years, and then 38 years in the financial planning industry. So a wealth of knowledge for our viewers.
A lot of experience.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in, man. So I always say, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the military service is very tactical, right? But
yeah,
and so they're tactical people, but they treat money. Everybody treats money so emotionally. So what's some advice that you can give our viewers, military, veteran, even civilian? I mean, what do you have to give to us today?
Well, what I have is that most people, what they end up doing, they make decisions one at a time. Mm-hmm. You talk about tactical, we're talking short term. Mm-hmm. And they make them with different people under different circumstances. And once they made that decision, they move on. And they never go back and revisit it. And just like what we have in the military, we have a plan of the day, plan of the week, plan of the month, plan of the quarter. Mm-hmm. There's constantly planning going on. And what I want people to think about, instead of thinking about short term and tactically, I want them to think about strategically, long term. And how do we do that? Because they end up making those decisions one at a time with different people under different circumstances with a financial junk drawer. And you know what that looks like. You got a junk drawer at home. You go looking for a tool, you can't find it, and you go to the junk drawer, and there it is. Mm-hmm. And that's many times people end up with a financial junk drawer.
A lack of organization, a lack of a plan, a lack of a vision.
Absolutely. And they need to take, their military life is structured for them. Well, they need to do the structuring for their personal financial life the same way you did the military long-term strategic planning that you'd have to do. So how do we do this? We take their financial junk drawer and I put it on a model that makes it very easy. They'll be able to see every decision they're making right now on one screen or one sheet of paper. They'll see the input, they'll see the output. And then what we do that's similar that I had to do many times in the flying world of the Navy is do flight simulation. Well, we can do a financial simulation showing people doing what they're doing now, where they're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. And then what happens if some of these bad things in life happen and you have an emergency? What is that going to look like? How is that going to perform some drag on your financial wealth accumulation?
What percentage of people do you think actually do this type of planning?
Well, it's very simple, very few. Because I can tell you that most people, they don't know, there's only two things that can happen to you in retirement. You're either going to outlive your money or the money's going to outlive you.
Well, most people spend more time planning their birthday party than they do their financial life, don't they?
Not even their birthday party, you know, their trips in the summertime or their 2 weeks of leave that they get. They don't take into account what they're done and revisit it.
And this can be a lot of money in the
Absolutely. What I tell people is that, and of course there's no guarantees, compliance would be all over me if I guaranteed these things, but what I've been able to do 95% of the time is show people where we can find 100, 250, 500, sometimes $1 million over their lifetime with no additional out-of-pocket outlay. Now, if we can do that, how much would it be worth your time to find an extra 250, 500, or $1 million over your lifetime? And it can be done because we take a look at that financial junk drawer and find out what's taking place, because there's a lot of eroding factors that are taking place because of what people are doing.
So it's a matter of going back and a systematic reorganization and then an ongoing management and keeping it organized over time.
Absolutely. You know, I meet with my clients usually no less than once a year, but many times things happen. And the first question I want to ask after I've worked with a person and they call me up, hey Dave, I want to get together. And I say, what has happened different since we last talked? Because life changes all the time. And many people, what they do, they make decisions without getting some consultation in advance. And once they've made that decision, they haven't gotten the consultation. There's what if I do this? What if I do that? There are options. It doesn't matter what a person says, what a person does. There's always a wealth transfer that takes place.
Planning is always key, right? I mean, planning is is key. Thanks so much for coming on. If you'd like to take a look and talk to Dave, elhoff.com is where you do that. We're going to be right back. Eve's got a couple of special events to present to you, so we'll be right back.
As a real estate professional, there are only so many hours of the day, which means efficiency is more than a buzzword. It's a daily necessity. 2 tools from First American Title can help you keep on top of your transactions, either at your desktop or on the go. My First Am puts comprehensive property data at your fingertips, where you can review recorded documents, past transactions, or locate comparable sales quickly and easily. Cost First can also ensure you have 24/7 access to closing costs data, allowing you to generate net sheets, calculate fees, update documents, or email, print, or save your reports, along with TRID calculation and consummation date timeframes. Each sale includes a number of stages to manage, each with the possibility to delay a closing or derail it altogether. Let Cost First and My First Am keep your transactions on track. Contact your local First American representative to get started today.
Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby. One of the things we love to do here is keep you educated. And around employment is one of the most important things that I love to educate you on. So we're going to talk about that this morning for just a moment. There's a couple of events that I don't want you to miss. One of them is a Hire GI Warriors to the Workforce hiring event in Santee. It's going to be on the 16th, which is actually tomorrow, and you don't want to miss it. If you're a veteran and you're looking for work here in San Diego, there's going to be many employers there that are looking for you. Now, if you've ever been to a hiring event like this before, you know it's kind of unnerving. You've got a lot of companies there, they're all in suits, and it can be very intimidating. But I want to tell you that Hire GI actually has a concierge service for you. What does that mean? That means you show up with your resume and you say, look, want to find an IT job, or I want to find an accounting job. And they will actually personally walk you over to the company that's looking for a person just like you. So no more guessing, no more scary. It's just a very safe environment for you to go and get connected with companies that want to hire you. The other event is a training that we're doing on November 3rd, and this is for companies who want to hire veterans but don't know where to find them. We're going to teach you how to find veterans that are perfect fits for your company. Now, next up, we have the one and only Paul Falcone. He's an HR guru, and he's going to talk to our veterans this morning about how you can easily get a job in the civilian workforce. Don't go away. We are back for our Q&A segment with HR guru consultant Paul Falcone. Paul, welcome back.
Thanks, Eve. Good to be here.
All right, we have another great question from our viewers. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. How do employers feel about recruiting veterans into first-time roles? So these positions that they're getting as soon as they're getting out of the military.
I think the reality is I've been in talent acquisition for a long time in my career. And I think veterans, it's a lot of it of setting expectations. Too many times they come out, the veterans want the perfect job with the perfect company and perfect corporate culture and the perfect mission and values.
Right.
Employers realize it's probably going to be a few frogs that you have to kiss before you find a prince. I mean, they really do.
Right.
So I would tell the candidates, don't put too much pressure on yourself in terms of trying to find the perfect job. Most employers are not expecting you to stay with them until you retire. But the reality is, too, I think that when you look at the challenges that people face in the interview, in onboarding into a new company, and in kind of assimilating, everyone is on their side. And that's what they need to understand, and I don't want people to forget that. It does feel us versus them. Maybe they're the only ones with short hair in the room. I don't know.
Right.
But the reality is the employers are there to make it work for them, and they just kind of have to get to that point where they can assimilate and feel comfortable being themselves.
Excellent. Okay. So with that, then, I think when you're in those situations, you really want to make sure that you're not waiting for the perfect job to come along. Is that right?
Kind of, sort of.
Because you'll get discouraged.
You'll get discouraged. And if you're waiting for perfection, it's going to take a long time. Just remember, be practical. Understand that you've got to get experience in the private sector. The first job may not last forever, and it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as your heart's in the right place and you're giving it all you got, you're going to make a good impression on them and get ready to prepare for more responsibilities in your career.
Yep, kind of getting your feet wet in the civilian sector, which is a very scary place to be.
Correct.
Paul Falcone, thank you once again for being a part of our Q&A segment. We'll be back with more Operation American Dream in just a moment.
Welcome back. Great show, Eve.
It was fantastic. I love the employment section with Paul Falcone. You learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we got some great guests, great information. That's what Operation American Dream is all about.
It is.
We'll see you next time. Visit us on OperationAmericanDream.tv. Take care.